What is up, folks? It is time once again for the O Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, CW, and today let's talk about Vince McMahon. I know. No one wants to talk about Vince McMahon. Then again, everyone wants to talk about Vince McMahon because that man is trying to get back in WWE. And apparently his plan is crazy enough to potentially work. Now, I think everyone is worried about McMahon coming back because they don't want him to take over WWE creative. But it doesn't sound like he's angling for creative control. It sounds like he's trying to get on the board of directors to make a sale decision, because WWE is always shopping its product around to be sold off to some buyer. Everyone cash out and, not have to deal with the actual company itself. Let some other company take it over. That's what they've been trying to do for decades or whatever. I mean, Vince McMahon sold the rights off to SmackDown to one place and Raw to another place, and he didn't sell NXT because he didn't care. But 205 Live, everything he's ever created, he always sells the rights to some TV station. Even when he launched the network, which was a crazy, weird, progressive thing for that old school dude to do, to have a streaming network. I'm sure he didn't even know what it was. He just knew it cost $10. That was very forward thinking. And then he just sold it to Peacock. He was like, whatever, you want to buy this, it's just an archive of my stuff, just take it. And Peacock took it and made it whatever it is right now. It's fine. I still think the network was better. But Vince has always been down to take other people's money, whether it be, you or me or, a TV network or whatever. And in his absence, obviously I've probably been in talks with, companies to sell WWE wholesale for, billions of dollars. And Vince is trying to block that by joining the board. I think the article said he's going to, if he's not allowed to join the board of directors and, become a decision maker, he will block any attempt at a sale of WWE, which tells you that he's been told they're trying to sell WWE. Now, WWE is his baby. Not even his baby. WWE is the thing that made him, crazy rich and basically untouchable. The man's entire life was poured into this company, and he made poor life decisions surrounded by money and enablers in WWE, right? Like he lived his best crap man life through this company. So if anyone thought that he wasn't going to not only attempt to, get back into the company, but, get back to where he was, you were all mad. The problems that may arise are WWE is doing better than it has been doing in quite some time. Now, WWE had record profits during like the pandemic and the years following. And year over year, they made more and more money because, again, they were like a source of escape. They were entertainment. People, used whatever money they had to, order WWE pay-per-views and kind of whatever they could to watch the product. And in that time, Vince fired a bunch of people to, again, show record profits. Like, not only were they making more money, but they were saving money by firing talent and kind of getting by on the bare minimum of, storytelling and matches and whatnot. The talent always put on the best match they could. It was the stories around it that were, crap, which was Vince's fault. And these days, not only do they have, the same, record profits, I believe, but they are bringing talent back. They are telling better stories. They're telling longer stories. And regardless of how you may feel about some of the storylines, like Bray Wyatt's Uncle Howdy, or Dexter Lumis and The Miz. I haven't seen The Miz in a while. Or anything with Johnny Gargano. They're hits and misses, but they take their shots and they're attempting new stories with new faces week to week, right? The Bloodline has been strong for the past couple of years, so I'm not even counting them. But Triple H is doing his best to elevate other people. Let's say, like, you can't put the company on one guy's back or four guys' backs, and then expect to have a viable product. Because what happens if one of them goes down? What if one of them gets sick and hurt and they can't perform? What if the Usos, God forbid, get into some more legal trouble and you don't have the tag team champs around? Like, you gotta invest in a lot more talent to kind of carry these shows. So Triple H is doing that while Vince was not. I don't know. Do I want Vince to be back in the company? I mean, I don't have a say in it, but I don't think it would be very good for morale. I think there would be a roster sort of exodus again if he came back. Like, people came back in droves to work for Triple H, and if the turnover happens again, I don't know what the roster's going to do, but I don't know. I'm sure they'll tighten their belts and they'll just get ready for the battle days. Apparently it was not very good when Vince was there, and I think a lot of the problem really lies in that Vince is disconnected from but he's disconnected from feelings. He doesn't feel things. It doesn't seem like that man has any sort of connection to anything outside of wrestling. I bet you Vince, in his 6 months out of the job or 8 months out of the job, I bet he didn't do anything to acclimate himself to 2022 and now 2023. I guarantee you he hasn't watched a movie still. He probably still just watches the wrestling product, and that's why he wants to get back in. He probably sees what he's missing, and he's like, well, I could do this, and this would be better, and this, and he's just in there, old man yelling at the TV. I don't know. It's not the best topic to talk about. I don't like talking about bummers, and Vince McMahon honestly is a bummer, and it's even sadder because he wasn't. Like, I grew up with Vince McMahon, and even as a kid, not a kid, but even as a young man, I recognized a snake. Like, Vince McMahon was never, I never wanted to be like him, nor did I think he was a good dude, but the product that he put out thoroughly entertained me. I mean, come on. Vince McMahon would, in the Attitude Era, would write storylines where he would just have the women wrestlers fawning over him in panties, and the things he did with Trish were crazy, and the way he treated his wife. And again, you can kind of wrap a lot of this stuff in the, oh, it's a show, let's put on a good show. But he did some wild stuff on national TV to his wife. Like, put her he's like, we're going to put you in a wheelchair, and then I'm going to have Stacy Keibler give me a lap dance in front of you, and you can't move, you can't say anything. I was like, I watched that and said, she's okay with this? I'm not okay with this. I'm not even married to the guy. Yeah, he's not a good dude, and he's not good for business. I'm sure he has, business mind. He can get business stuff done, but just, it's not going to go over well. What do you guys think of Vince McMahon returning? I know what you think. You can't want it. Hit the bell, get notified on YouTube, subscribe on any and all podcasting platforms. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you spending 10 minutes with me to talk about wrestling. This has been the O Wrestling Podcast. Thank you so much again. And remember, I am your friend.
I'm your friend, but if I ever see you in the ring, I can beat you. Don't you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah.